And Abhishek, I think one of the questions we have seen come up is it's a slightly different mindset, or is it a different mindset when you're negotiating on behalf of a company to acquire a startup, or revenue share deals, or all of the things that you've done? Is it different when it comes to a mindset when you're negotiating within a company for your own promotion, raise, or whatever it is you want in terms of career fulfillment? And how do you apply some of these lessons to that? Because we do know that pay parity is a huge issue for working women. We do know that whether we like it or not, there is a glass ceiling, especially as you hit that maybe 5 to 10 year mark as you're trying to get into management or leadership. So, what is your advice for people looking at that?
So to the first question, yes, I mean, there are, I think at the core of it, all negotiations have some things in common. But yes, when you're negotiating for yourself, the settings are changed, right? You are negotiating with people people who know you. You are on the same side most of the times, and suddenly once a year you are across the table. So the setting has changed. And your asks, your needs are very different when you are talking about yourself versus, say, representing your company outside. So yes, I think but there is no difference in terms of how to prepare for a negotiation. At the end of the day, when you walk into a room to negotiate, and the other side knows that there is a zone of possible agreement, right? Which is sometimes very wide because you're too far apart, or sometimes close enough to bridge the gap, and you have to work within that. Once you know what's that zone where you can land, I think it's a matter of just working towards something that pleases everyone in the end. And this is true of negotiating for a business or a deal or a merger or acquisition, and negotiating for your own whether it's a salary or a promotion.
And we've spoken in the past about knowing. I don't think we use zone of possible agreement for this, but knowing what are your gives, what are the gets, what can you talk about, Sairi, especially for people who are, one, looking at this volatile job market,
Yeah.
two, getting offers from startups where there's a combination, of course, of equity and lower upfront. Do you have any advice there? Because it gets confusing. I don't think it's the same as your everyday kind of corporate negotiation year on year. What's your advice there?
Yeah, I think I'd like to tie that to what you said earlier. As you start growing in your career, you cross 5 years, and you're sort of now at the leadership table, or you're ready for a bigger role. I think personal advice to most people would be to take bigger leaps, because this is the time to take leaps. I think because you have something behind you already. You've proven yourself. You've done the foundational work of your career. You might as well fight for a bigger pie. So I think the reason why you should be starting thinking about a startup or joining one is that it could be a quantum leap. If it succeeds, it could change your trajectory of your career. And if it doesn't, you will still go back to the job market, with lot more peaceful growth over a period of time. But look for where those quantum leaps are coming from in your career, and startups do offer that possibility. The second thing I would say is, you're right, ESOP is a very it's a very make or break instrument. It's a make or break for companies. Equity is the riskiest asset in the world. You are going to plug yourself to probably that. I think being able to do your own diligence on what a potential upside may look like and why that upside may happen. And I guess part of playing the role in a startup is that you have a little role in making that ESOP happen. If you're not willing to partake that responsibility, and you don't think you have a role to play, you're not a catalyst, and you have nothing that moves the lever, right? Can you push this rock up the hill? And are you going to be one of the levers, and not manually pushing it, but like, will you be able to take a shot at a hard problem, and you see yourself in that environment? Then it's worth fighting for, and then it's definitely road to take. And I guess these are in principle questions, but moment you're talking to a startup, definitely get to know where they are in their journey. A product market fit company is a very different company. But also the rewards change. So if you joined WhatsApp or Airbnb at when they were still selling cereals, or they hadn't yet turned on users, very different company, very very high risk. Everything could be zero tomorrow, but the rewards also then, and that's what I mean by quantum shifts. I'll
Yeah.
give you a little example from my own journey. Many years ago, I was a JNE student, and I clearly had like a little academic road laid out for me, and I ended up joining a day one startup, literally so day one that we had to you know clean up the office with our own bare hands on day one, and then start the journey from there. It was probably the riskiest thing at that point in time, and it could have derailed a lot of things for me, but it also turned out to be like the best elevator I could have taken for myself, uh, because I got to be an insider in the journey of building a company 0 to 1 without investing any of my own capital. And I got to be the first employee on the team. I got to learn everything that one needs to learn that probably would take 10 years. I got to do that in 2 years. And so there are different forms of upside. So ESOP is one form, but do your diligence on the company. The company is doing a ref check on you. You got to do the same when you're sort of doing this, and being able to ask those questions. So when you walk into a conversation, being able to literally ask to say, where is margin, where is profitability, and where is, what are the future paths for a lot of companies. The truth is the founder may still not have those. you know the question is, do you see yourself in this room with the founder solving for it, at least some part of it, not all of it. And that's the fun of sort of being on the team.
So it looks like you do have to, still do your homework. Both scenarios, you really have to do your own due diligence.
Yeah.
There's no shortcuts in this.